We are a week away from the launching of the round of 32 for the Australia Cup, previously known as the FFA Cup. I can assure you there is definitely not going to be any clips of pundits being confused with the name. But anyways, with the cup now giving the winner an AFC Cup spot, basically the Asian version of the Europa League, winning the cup is a lot more valuable than it used to be. So let's get into the round of 32 matches. The first group of matches open up on the 21st of July, with the first match being... Both teams are no strangers to this competition and are actually no strangers to each other, as they both played each other in the round of 16 back in 2018, with Bentleigh sealing a 4-0 away win. This tournament would be the furthest Broadmeadow reached, as Bentleigh advanced all the way to the semi-final only to be stopped by Adelaide United, matching their 2014 run where they lost to Perth Glory in the semi-final. That would also be the last time Bentleigh made it to the FFA Cup final rounds, as Broadmeadow would qualify for last year's tournament but get eliminated by the Wanderers in the round of 32. Bentleigh Greens currently see themselves in a tight spot for 4th place in the NPL Victoria, whilst Broadmeadow are currently top of the table in the Newcastle NPL competition. With that in mind, I believe that Bentleigh will slightly edge out the Magic in what will possibly be an extra time and even penalty affair. Both teams have had to wait a little while to return to this stage, as this being Bonnyrigg's 3rd cup appearance and first since 2018, and this is being Oakleigh's 2nd appearance, as their last was back in 2015. Oakleigh's run was memorable as they made it to the quarterfinals after going down 3-2 in an extra time thriller against Hume City, whilst Bonnyrigg's runs have both ended in the round of 16, losing to Blacktown City and Western Sydney Wanderers respectively. Oakleigh see themselves just 2 points off first place South Melbourne in the NPL Victoria competition, whilst on the other end of the scale, Bonnyrigg sees themselves second last in the New South Wales League 1, the second tier of New South Wales football, after their relegation from the NPL in 2018. This showing can be a massive result for Oakleigh, as 5 days prior they would actually play South Melbourne for a chance to go top of the table. So with that in mind, I would have to give my prediction for a Cannons win. Now we see the sole Northern Territory team for the tournament in the Mindil Aces, who is now in back-to-back tournaments after making their first cup appearance last year. There has not been much luck favoured for the Northern Territory teams, as none of them have actually made it past the round of 32, the closest being Hellenic Athletic in 2018, who were up 3-2 against the Western Sydney Wanderers and unfortunately let in 2 goals in the dying moments of the game to rob us of arguably the biggest cup upset. It won't get easier as they take on Avondale FC, who aren't strangers to the competition, with their furthest run being in 2018, reaching the quarterfinals but losing to Sydney FC. Avondale FC are currently in 5th spot in the NPL Victoria, 1 point off Bentleigh, as Mindil are 2nd in the North Zone Premier League, 1 point off top spot Hellenic. Like all Northern Territory teams, it's a very uphill battle against these teams, and unfortunately for them, I see Avondale advancing. Now we see a new team introduced to the Australian Cup, as South Australia's Modbury Jets make their first ever appearance in the competition as they travel to WA to take on Armadale Soccer Club, who made their last and only appearance in the Cup in 2018, losing to Cairns FC 4-0 in the round of 32. Armadale are currently positioned in 7th place in the NPL WA League, whilst the Modbury Jets are currently sitting in 1st place in the South Australia State League 1. The league below the NPL South Australia, making them one of the lowest ranked teams left in the competition. Though I'd like to hope for Modbury to advance and play Newcastle in a Jets vs Jets fantasy game, I will predict that Armadale would advance into the next round. So that is the conclusion of the first match day for the round of 32, and we go to the next one, which takes place on the 27th of July. It opens with the other member federation Western Australian team in Cockburn City. Yes, that's how it's pronounced. No, it's not how you think it is. Travelling to Brisbane to take on Brisbane City, another first time in the Cup, as Cockburn was a brief appearance in 2016, being eliminated by Green Gully in the round of 32. Both teams in their leagues are in the exact situations, with both teams being in 10th place in 12-team leagues. So a prediction for this match is going to actually be quite tough, but I might give the edge to Brisbane City, as they have had the most recent win out of the two. Adelaide City is one of the most important member federation clubs in FFA/Australia Cup history, as they are the first team to beat an A-League side as a member federation club in the competition, as in 2014 they beat the Western Sydney Wanderers 1-0 in the round of 32. Fun fact, that same Wanderers team would go on to win the Asian Champions League a few months later. And in this round of 32, they'll be taking on another debutant for the Cup in Queensland's Logan Lightning. The Logan Lightning is currently placed in 9th place in the NPL Queensland League, whilst Adelaide City is currently first in a heated NPL South Australia League, with 2nd and 3rd being separated by 1 point from 1st. Though out of the 3, City has had the worst of forms, but this shouldn't faze Adelaide, who should be able to advance comfortably. Now we come across one of the best stories going into the competition, that is Wollongong United, who have officially broken the record for the lowest ranked team to ever qualify for this stage of the Australia Cup, being in the 6th tier of New South Wales football, the Illawarra State League, 4 tiers below the NPL New South Wales, and it'll be marketed as a true David versus Goliath as they take on Green Gully, who last appeared in 2016 making the quarterfinals, which featured them beating the Central Coast Mariners with a Liam Boland screamer in the round of 32 of that tournament. To put a perspective of how much of a difference there is in levels separating the clubs, I'll explain it in FA Cup terms. This is if a championship team was drawn against a National League North and South team. It's amazing that Wollongong United have made it this far, but do I think they're going to beat a team who is currently 6th in NPL Victoria? I don't really think so, but I would love to be proven wrong, and if they do, it'll easily be the biggest upset in Australian football history. And finally for this match day, we also finally have a member federation versus A-League match between Heidelberg United and Brisbane Roar. That should also be of a reminder in terms of the history of the FFA Cup, as Heidelberg have actually eliminated A-League opposition before, when in 2017 they eliminated Perth Glory in the round of 32, and it helped them reach that year's quarterfinals, which is one of 3 quarterfinals appearances made in the entirety of their history, compared to the Brisbane Roar, who hasn't gone well in the Cup from comparison to other A-League clubs, with the furthest reached being in the quarterfinal last year, losing to Sydney FC. Heidelberg currently are in 7th spot in NPL Victoria, only 2 points below 4th, whilst Brisbane had to play in a playoff to qualify for the round of 32, beating the Western Sydney Wanderers in the process. Honestly, I might be sounding optimistic here, but I think Heidelberg will be going 2 for 2 against A-League opposition. We now shift to the following Saturday as we preview these 2 matches. Once again, we are blessed with a Federation member versus A-League match, as we see Football Queensland Premier League outfit, the Magpie Crusaders. Though they have been relegated from NPL Queensland, this is actually their 2nd time in the Cup, as they reached the round of 16 in 2019. They'll be taking on Macarthur FC only in their 2nd Cup since being added to the A-League, as they made the round of 16 last year in their 1st attempt. Though they got relegated, Magpies Crusaders are currently situated 6th in the Football Queensland Premier League, whilst Macarthur in the last A-League season just missed out in the finals, but finished high enough to avoid the playoff situation. Macarthur have made some signings to try and bolster their squad and try to replicate their first A-League season, and I feel like they will be too strong for the Magpie Crusaders. The Newcastle Jets couldn't have gotten a harder draw, as they have to play against the FFA/Australia Cup juggernauts in Adelaide United, as Adelaide United have made 4 cup finals and have won 3 of them: 2014, 2018, and 2019, after just falling short in 2017 to Sydney FC. As the Jets' best form took them to the quarterfinals in 2019, losing to Adelaide United. And that was the last appearance by the Jets, who fell victim to the first of the Cup playoffs played with the bottom 4 teams in the A-League, losing to Western United in controversial fashion. Adelaide made the prelims in the A-League finals last year, but lost to Melbourne City, whilst the Jets finished in the bottom 4, forcing them into another Cup playoff, but they were able to beat last place Perth Glory 3-1. The Jets have made some good signings for the season, which will be interesting, but do we think the Jets will be strong enough to kill the Cup juggernauts? Well, as a Jets fan, I certainly hope so. We now go to the only game on the Sunday, and it is a rematch of the semi-final from last year's Cup. Both teams have had decent success in these competitions, with Sydney FC making 3 finals and winning 1 in 2017 and losing 2 in 2016 and 2018. Whilst after beating Sydney FC in the semi-final last year, the Mariners ended up playing Melbourne Victory in the Cup final, unfortunately losing 2-1. Sydney FC have had a pretty crap season last year, all things considered, finishing 8th and missing the A-League finals, whilst the Mariners finished 5th and were eliminated in the A-League semi-finals by eventual winners Western United, being the only New South Wales team to make it into the finals. By the way the transfers are currently working for Sydney FC, it seems to be that there's somewhat of a rebuild potentially going on. It also with a major loss of Milos Ninkovic going across the Forbidden Line and going to the Red of Western Sydney. So in terms of this, I'm actually going to give this match to the Central Coast Mariners. On to the first game in August as we have another member federation versus A-League matchup. Newcastle Olympic are making their second cup appearance in a row after qualifying last year. They didn't go as far as they lost in the round of 32 match against Macarthur, whilst Melbourne City have made the cup final twice, beating Sydney in 2016 and losing to Adelaide in 2019. Newcastle Olympic are currently in 6th place in the Newcastle NPL system, only 2 points away from being in the top 4. Whilst Melbourne City became back-to-back minor premiers, finishing first in the regular season and making the grand final only to lose to Western United. It would be amazing to see an upset, but in a match like this, it's going to be very unlikely for Olympic to beat City. And now we move on to the final match day of the round of 32, taking place on the Wednesday. We start off with the last team from Queensland in the Cup, being the Peninsula Power, who have not won a Cup game as they have lost in the round of 32 in 2017 and 2021, as they are hosting the Northwestern Sydney Spirit, who have never been in the Cup at this stage. So we'll be seeing either team potentially getting their first Australia Cup win. The Peninsula Power are currently second place in the NPL Queensland, trying to chase the Queensland Lions for the top spot, as the Northwestern Sydney Spirit are currently third in the New South Wales League 1 in a close battle between first and fourth, being separated by 2 points. It'll be a great occasion for either team who will get the win, and personally it'll be the Peninsula Power who will advance. We now go to the only Tasmanian team in the round of 32, and they are also taking on an A-League team, and not only that, they're also taking on the only non-Australian team. Devonport City have been in a tussle with South Hobart regarding who is the sole Tasmanian representative for the Cup, as each team has appeared 3 times. But Devonport are the only ones to get out of the round of 32 and have made the round of 16 in 2016 and 2018. Early history for the Wellington Phoenix in this Cup has not been good, as they've mostly been eliminated early and have been beaten twice by NPL opposition, being the Bentleigh Greens and the Brisbane Strikers. But last year they went on an amazing run, including a quarter-final win against Melbourne City going to penalties, which made them go to the semi-finals only to lose to eventual winners Melbourne Victory. Devonport City are currently flying high over the NPL Tasmania, being first with an 8-point gap, whilst Wellington Phoenix made it into the finals of the A-League, losing to Adelaide United in the semi-final. With this form, there could be possibility for an upset with some of the poaching of Phoenix's players to other clubs. I personally think it will happen. Sydney FC have been one of the most consistent teams to appear in the FFA/Australia Cup, as this will be their 6th appearance, and they will take on the Monaro Panthers, the sole ACT team, who are also making their Cup debut. One thing that makes Sydney United consistent is how consistently they finish their campaign in the round of 16, as they have made the round of 16 4 times but never advanced, being in 2014, 2015, 2017, and 2019. Sydney United see themselves currently in 8th in the New South Wales NPL, whilst their ACT counterpart is 3rd in that state's NPL competition. That would be a great story for the Panthers. I think Sydney United should easily be able to move on to the next round, and hopefully not lose in that round for a 5th time. And finally, the last match of the round of 32, and it is possibly one of the biggest matches in all of the Cup's history, as the defending A-League champions, the Western United, host the defending FFA/Australian Cup holders, the Melbourne Victory. Western United made their debut appearance in the Cup last year after beating the Newcastle Jets in a playoff, where they met the Wellington Phoenix in the round of 32, with Wellington winning 1-0. And for Melbourne Victory last year, they added to their trophy cabinet with their second Cup title as they beat the Central Coast Mariners 2-1, matching their efforts in 2015. They are also the only team in FFA Cup history to have been in a final and to never have lost one. Very easy to say about form for these teams. Western United came third and proceeded to shock the nation, eliminating Victory in the prelim and beating Melbourne City 2-0 to claim their first ever title after only existing for 3 years. Melbourne Victory came second in that year and completely dominated in that second prelim. This game will have a lot of fire for both teams and their fans, but personally I think Victory will be getting their revenge on Western United. Well, that was a very long video, and that is now the end of the video. What do you think will occur in the round of 32 and throughout the whole campaign? Who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to lose? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later.